So I wanted to come on here real quick today to talk about something that's on my mind. I actually have another video that I'm working on that's a much more extensive, interesting, lots of B-roll kind of video. This is just going to be some straight talk. And I figured I would put this out before that one, just because it's heavy on my mind. And I just watched another video by somebody else talking about basically the same subject matter. So first of all, I'm using my Hollyland Lark Max mic for the first time, testing it, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. But this thing potentially is really cool. I'll get to it in a minute. So anyway, I wanted to talk about my Patreon page and what it is and how it has evolved and where I'm at it at the moment, and how I'm not positive that I'm going to continue it because I'm not sure that I really feel so good about it, And here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm thinking. I don't have a lot of Patreon followers. And in fact, most of my Patreon followers are free. They're not even paying. Patreon, is really set up for artists, mostly artists, who are looking for financial support, and they go a little bit beyond what they do on YouTube or social media, and it's more of kind of like an exclusive kind of community that's built around this person or this entity, Like these would be my strongest supporters, the people who really want to be there all the time and want to exchange content. And I looked at Patreon as an opportunity to build this community that kind of engages with one another, maybe creates these chats that go back and forth, create dialogue, conversation, where I would share things that I'm not really going to share on social media, that I'm going to just leave for my community, for my people, for like-minded people, not for YouTube or social media where I'm really talking to everybody, that's really important, for me. That's part of my conundrum, actually. And if I'm being really honest, I would hope and I would wish for followers at my Patreon page who, did not necessarily agree with me all the time. And I have pretty strong views about things. I mean, obviously, I've been somewhat of a social activist with my art forever. And people are probably laughing watching this because I use the word somewhat, But yeah, I use my work, my art, as a platform for what I believe in, my opinions, my point of view. And I don't ever say that I'm right, but I feel that I'm being righteous, not self-righteous, but righteous. I'm always thinking of justice. I'm thinking of everybody. I'm thinking about what's fair, And if I feel that something is wrong, I'm going to point it out, And I'm always open to dialogue that's not like a personal attack on me. But if it's something that disagrees with what I'm talking about, that's the whole point for me. That's why I make my art. That's why I do what I do. I create plays that I want people to, kind of take in and then feel that they have a safe space to now talk about it because they saw it in this fantasy, this kind of, made up story with characters that I developed, that I created in a world that I created, but it's a direct metaphor for things that are happening in the world. And then I think that tends to give people a feeling of comfort, they don't feel so weird about talking about things that maybe other people don't agree with, Same thing with my films, whether it be about adoption and foster care and things like that, or racism and misogyny and gentrification and things like that. It's all positive for me. I'm trying to include everybody, no matter what you believe. I'm trying to include everybody in the conversation so that we can come together. We have to live here together. Not everybody is going to agree, right? So what does this have to do with Patreon? So like I said, I have a number of followers on Patreon, but not a big number. And most of them are for free. Now I have some, and every Patreon supporter thus far is at the lowest level, $3 a month. Now, obviously if somebody's supporting me for $3, they can afford it, right? They probably have HBO and, Amazon Prime and Showtime, and they probably have a million subscriptions, And so they feel that it's worthy you know, their money makes sense for them to support somebody like me. Like, I'm worthy. My work is worthy to them. And I'm so humbled by that and grateful for that, you know. But the problem is, I don't have many, like I have, I don't know, 5 or 6 paying Patreon members. And I've kind of gotten to the point where, you know, I don't feel so good about that. You know, I have all these free members because my philosophy is I don't want to leave anybody out if they're there because they want to be there, but they can't afford $3 a month or $15 a month or $35, I think the top tier, or $40, something like that. Like, if they can't afford anything, I don't want to leave them out. So I share everything with everybody. And then I'm like, well, how do the paying members feel about that? Like, they're paying, you know, and they probably feel fine about it. You know, they're probably like, look, I'm here to support you. Whatever you do is fine. I understand that. But I am struggling with that because I'm not really serving my Patreon page the way I should, because there's nobody, you know, there's very few people there. I have a bigger following. My YouTube channel is growing, you know. My social media presence is pretty big, even though I don't really engage on Facebook and Instagram that much anymore because I don't really like it. I find Instagram and Facebook to be much more of a, you know, negative space now, a space where people have gotten to the point where they feel free to just spew anything based on nothing. And in fact, in my opinion, Facebook and Instagram have divided us more than brought us together, because people sit behind their keyboards and they post stuff and they never have to deal with anybody in person. YouTube is different for me. It's more of an educational space. It's more of a, there's more positive things. There's more tangible things going on at YouTube that I can get with, you know, like I understand it and I feel good about it. And so I am focusing on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow it. And yes, I am hoping to monetize it. And the only reason I started a Patreon page is to monetize it. And I thought, this is such a great idea. Like, I can get support, but at the same time, I can get in here and just do so much more than I would do anyplace else. Because it's like having a bunch of friends at a dinner party and to talk about the events of the day, you know, what's going on in the world. And I get to kind of, you know, share my art in doing that. That's amazing to me. But it's not growing, it's not working, it's just kind of sitting there. And I have like 5 people with, you know, $3 is being sucked out of their account every month. And I don't feel good about that because it's not what it was supposed to be. You know, it's not a community. It's not anybody engaging, it's not doing anything. So I'm not going to get too deep into this. I profoundly believe in what my Patreon should be and what I intend for it to be. But I guess I'm making this video and I'm going to share this on my mailing list. And I'm going to share it with as many people as possible that I know. And I'll probably put it up on Facebook. And if I don't get, say, you know, 20 or 30 new followers over the next, say, 30 days, I'm going to shut down my Patreon page because I don't feel good about those 5 people. And thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You know, these are people who have followed me for over 20 years in some cases. You know, all of my work, come to see all my plays. They've watched my films. They've listened to my music. Like, they've been so supportive. They believe in me and my mission. You know, me, the disruptive artist. I thank them so much, but I can't take their money if it's not really what it's supposed to be. You know, I know that they'll always be there for fundraisers and things like that. But for this, like this, you know, monthly taking of money from them in a space that is not, you know, actually living up to what it's supposed to be, I can't in good conscience continue that. And so, yeah, I need 20, 30, 40, 50 more people over the next month, you know. Otherwise, I'm going to shut it down. And, you know, it's easier for me, too, if I do that because, you know, I'm posting stuff there every once in a while, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, nobody's even looking at it. I don't even know if the free people are looking at it. You know, to me, my Patreon has been an epic failure on my part, you know. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm not promoting it well. Maybe I feel funny about asking for money every month. And I don't know, but, you know, unfortunately, we live in a world where people question everything. They question our motives. They question your integrity. They question everything. You know, like, everything is side-eyed. And I don't like that. You know, my shit is genuine all the time. And I don't appreciate that. So I don't want to put myself in yet another space, excuse me, where people are feeling that kind of way. But really, most importantly, I'm going to shut it down if it is not going to be what it's supposed to be. I'm not going to, I'm just not going to do that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully, my hope is that people will watch this and go, of course, I want to support you, you know, and throw down $3 or $15 or $40 or whatever the tiers are. And, you know, for the record, Patreon's been totally screwed up because I know a few people have tried to support me at the higher tier and it hasn't worked. So they've been forced to go to the lower tier. And then I've tried to deal with Patreon, and the site, basically the technical aspects of it, honestly, it kind of sucks. Like, I know that I would have had higher tiered members already. And, you know, they're like, oh, please have them email us and blah, blah, blah. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I mean? People want to come, click a button, and it should work. You know, that's all Patreon is. Like, click the button. And the email I got from Patreon was, hey, it's working on our end. So, you know. But anyway, having said that, this will be a good test for that too. Let's see if that's fixed as well. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to get 30 contributors at the highest tier because they really believe in me and they don't want me to let go of this. So let's see what happens. That's where I'm at with Patreon. If it's not going to be what it's supposed to be, I am not going to take the money. Even though it's only $3 a month, I'm not going to do it anymore. If it's not really a community, if it's not really, you know, if people are more interested in supporting other kinds of work, like, you know, people who review cell phones and things like that, then that's fine. You know, more technical type of channels, because mine is more of a, you know, an artist with a social commentary that wants to create a dialogue among people and bring people together. And like I said, I would love to be supported by people who have all kinds of different beliefs. I think that would be the dream, right? That for an artist, any artist, I think, if your work engages people who don't think like you, I think you're on the right track. You know, if you're just like preaching to the choir all the time, you know, okay, I guess that's all right, you know, to make money and be popular. But my intention is to disrupt and to get us out of the negativity and the fighting, you know, and I mean, now it's like violent fighting. You know, I want to bring us together. I want to grow empathy with my work. That's my whole intention. That's my desire. That's why I make art. You know, that's why I do what I do, so that we all have more empathy towards one another. Not that we have to agree, not that we have to be the same, but that we have empathy, that we can show love to one another so that we don't hurt one another. So that sometimes we support somebody else in something that we might not even agree with, but we know that they actually have the right to believe in something that we don't believe in, to have the right to do something that we would never do. That's the American way, right? In my mind, that's what it's always been. I don't know if it's going to continue to be that way, but that's where I'm at. I'm trying to bring people together, not separate us. I'm not trying to have a radical channel in any direction. I'm going to be me, and I'm as liberal as they come. I'm that guy. I am a progressive, you know? I am Bernie Sanders. I'm that guy. But that doesn't mean that I don't think other people have to be like me. You know, I just don't think that anybody should be able to impose their beliefs on other people, resulting in other people not being able to live in the way that they want to live. You know, other than the basics like you can't kill anybody, you can't steal from people, stuff like that, obviously, you know. But, you know, people who want to love who they want to love, marry who they want to marry, women having the right to preside over their own health care, things like that, that's what I believe in. But I welcome you to come to my Patreon if you don't agree with me, and be a part of that. And I will never allow anybody to be disrespected in that space. Just like recently I did a YouTube video and I got a bunch of disrespectful comments. I just deleted them and I blocked that person, because I'm not here to have conversations with somebody who just wants to attack. You know, I'm interested in people who have some kind of humanity, and they might have very strong beliefs. They might be very religious. You know, they might have, you know, feelings that other people don't have. Atheists, you know, people who just don't feel that way. But we all can coexist in a peaceful manner. And that is what my intention is, what my hope is, what I'm trying for. So let's see what happens, you know. If you are interested in that, if you love my work, if you believe in what I do, if you want to support what I do and you think you can afford, you know, a monthly payment starting at $3 a month and going as high as, I believe the highest tier is $35 a month, I think. I'm not even sure. But go to my Patreon page. There's a link in the description. And become a part of it, you know. And I'm telling you right now, if I don't have, say, 25 people by the end of the month paying Patreons, you know, patrons of the arts, then I'm going to shut it down. So if you do pay, you'll probably just pay once if it doesn't become what it's supposed to be. But it's a good possibility, and I'm always very hopeful and very optimistic that this will, you know, have some people go, you know what? Yeah, you know, I pay for Amazon Prime every month. You know, I got subscriptions that I don't even remember, that I don't even know about. You know, Tubi TV, Sling TV, all this stuff. You know, why not support this guy who I watch all of his videos for free? He does all this work. He, you know, goes out and does plays and makes movies, and he's always doing stuff that's like meaningful social commentary. He's not just like making horror films or something like that. Let's support him. So if that happens, then we'll continue. If not, I will, of course, continue to really put all the energy that I have into this YouTube channel. And most importantly, I'm going to continue to make movies because I'm a filmmaker, right? I'm interested in creating stories. I'm going to continue to do plays. I'll do a play next year. That's my main thing, you know. I'm a performing artist, a playwright, a filmmaker, an actor. I'm going to continue to do that kind of work, you know, long form work, because that's what I'm about and that's what I believe in. But I have a growing respect and a much greater appreciation for my YouTube channel now because of some of the things that I've experienced over the last year. And so I find it to be precious to me. I really appreciate it now. And I'm going to continue to work hard at it. So, you know, that's not going to change. Really, nothing else is going to change. I'm just going to not keep the Patreon. Now, the Patreon is a place where I do leave exclusive content that I don't put anyplace else. So I guess that space will be non-existent if I can't have it grow. So that's it. And real quick, this Hollyland Lark Max. I can record just to this. I don't even have to use the receiver, which I would plug into my camera, and then the audio would go directly into the camera. But I like the fact that I could just record here and just sync it to, you know, sync the audio in post, and I can have a microphone on my camera, and I could be recording, you know, Foley, like, you know, the environmental sounds at the same time that I'm recording audio. If I'm, you know, obviously if I'm close to the camera, it's going to pick up my dialogue. But if I'm not close to the camera, this is like a dream for me. Of course, I'm going to get a Sharpie and blur out the white because I'm not trying to advertise. Nobody gave me this. I bought this myself. And for those who don't know, I bought only one of these. You know, usually it comes in a kit. There's a charging case, and you get two of these and a receiver and all this other stuff. I bought one because it was half the price. I only need one. I'm still going to use my lavalier with my Zoom H1N, but now I'm not going to be tripping over cables and pulling out cables all the time. And, you know, I've broken that thing so many times, and the cable comes out all the time, and now I'm free. You know, like it's held together with a magnet. I have a magnet underneath my sweatshirt. And so, yeah, if the sound quality is good, I don't know yet, but you'll know from this video, and I'll know from this video. And one of the best purchases I've made in a long time. I'm really excited about this. It's got 8 gigabytes of memory internally in this little microphone. So that's a lot. You know, that I'll work for months until I have to kind of, you know, delete everything and start over again. I think it gets 22 hours of runtime, so I can use this thing for days before I have to recharge it. It's a no-brainer. It's got EQ on it. It's got a little wind filter that it came with, so when I'm outside, I'm not going to be dealing with wind and all that kind of stuff. It's got, like I said, EQ. It's got noise reduction on it where, you know, kind of like in DaVinci Resolve, it can isolate my dialogue and get rid of everything else. Personally, I'm not going to use it. I'll do that in post-production. I'm just using it as a straight recorder, set my levels properly. It does not have 32-bit float. So yeah, so far, I love this thing. Awesome. I was thinking about it for months, and I finally pulled the trigger because I broke one of my lavalier mics, and I'm like, yo, buy this thing already. It's going to cost you like $150 or something like that for the single one. So I got it. All right, so Patreon. If you're interested, please join my Patreon. The description is in my, the link is in my description. And thanks for listening to this. And I have a much better video where you're not just looking at my face coming up in a couple of days.